We now have two entities. We have the list screen, the detail screens. We can start the list and detail screens within this toolset environment. What is missing is a way to give the user a friendly way to start these functions as part of a business application. That's what comes next. We call this Workplace. So if you click this Workplace button in the tooling, then this environment comes up. You see on the left, there's an arrangement of functions. On the right, there's a content area, which is already pre-filled with some hello, hello. And now what you can see is if you are running this in a development mode, this is not seen at runtime mode, then you already can see all the entities with all the screens which exist. So there's an article list you can start, and you see exactly what you saw in the development environment. You now see it as part of this Workplace. So this is, so to speak, a techie extension of the Workplace to at least see these functions before doing things to properly maintain this tree. If you come to this tree, then you see, okie doke, this is rather example data, some entity. It will also not work at the first beginning. So if you double click this, it will tell you there is no entity list. Whatever. This is what you have to do now. You have to maintain this tree of data. And for this reason, there's a tool, edit existing function tree. This is default. So function tree default is the one which you maintain. And here you see exactly this hierarchy on the left, which you saw in the Workplace. Well, there are some folder nodes. You see folder nodes only have this top area, and there are some starting nodes. These starting nodes are associated with really some entity definition or screen definition, which to start. Let's start with the top folder. We just call this is our stock management system. In the stock management, we have a subnode, which is master data. And in this one, we say, okay, this is articles. And the next one is unit of measures. Fantastic. Measures. Now, the articles, you can skip this at the beginning, is bound to a dialog definition. You can see you can remove it, or you can just create a new one. Yeah. And the most important thing here is the PHP name. This is the program which is associated to start something as dialog. And you see the entity things here. This is article, and we want to call the list. That's all you have to define here. You may define, for example, the following: allow starting of multiple instances. And it's always a good idea to also define this ID here. So article list, allow starting. Allow starting of multiple instances means that the user can start several of these dialogues within one context. You will see it later on. I will explain it. Now, unit of measures, same story. I say, okie doke, this is now the unit of measures list, unit of measure list, which is started. Here, I don't click it, and I also assign this ID over here. I don't want to start multiple instances. So with unit of measures, no multiple instances. With articles, we have multiple instances. Good, we save this now. Now, going back to this already started Workplace, I just press refresh. And you will now see, okay, stock management, master data, articles, unit of measures. I can now double click articles, and you exactly see the articles. Yeah. And I also can call it a second time, articles. And now a new instance is created. This is exactly this multiple instances. So you now work in two instances of this. You could, for example, move this to right side and say, okay, I compare data. For example, I double click this. Good to see. This one is not editable because it is locked on the other side. There's already a user working in this article, so this one cannot log inside. That's the reason why this is input only. Next thing is, this is a screen which is the same on the left. You saw the list and I was double clicking it, but due to space conditions, to physical space, yeah, the screen automatically adapts so that the list is shown on the left and the right. So there's no parallel showing of the list. It immediately switches in this mode where it either shows one of them to give better usability. So if you close this, then you're back to the list. Same 4712. So you now can compare these articles while working. I don't want to do this now, so I just close this. Anyway, you saw this means this means multiple starting. Unit of measures, the same story, yeah. And you see, if I'm here in articles and I click second time unit of measures, it goes back to the already opened unit of measures. It doesn't open it a second time because we defined it to open one instance. Good. That's how the user now can access it. The workplace has a lot of functions inside, which are fantastic because you can, for example, switch into a, I would say, tablet or phone mode, where you don't have the separation between the left and the right, but you have only one big screen because of missing screen space. You can go back to the desktop mode here again. There's a launchpad which you can use. The launchpad is, so to speak, an accelerator, and due to some fact there is already some maintained data, I just delete all this data. And so this would be the original status, how you see it. So let's go from there. In the launchpad, there's nothing contained yet. Here I now say I have a new area, which I called this are the master data favorites. Oops. And now I can drag and drop from the left side. I can drag items. Yeah, and for example, also I go to entities and I say, okay, I go to the base entities coming from another project. I want to have the country list over here, and I save them. And these items now are, so to speak, accelerated callers. So if I now click unit of measures from here, the same thing happens. That happens if I click it here, but it's just quicker. So a user can arrange her favorites automatically and then navigate from here to be much faster to access the data. Yeah, that's the workplace and what I wanted to tell about.